Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Uh, I'm joining me once more is my good friend Dread to talk about this little anime called Deca-Dence, episode 4. Um, and this episode, uh, I, like, part of me, like, at the end of it, I almost felt like, I was like, man, not a lot went down, but I walked away really glad because of like what I actually got to see on screen were things that I've been sort of like clamoring for. Um, uh, we I got the like more of my girl Kurenai, which I wanted more, which just should just be like I'm an advocate for the Kurenai show at this point.
Oh,
Uh,
like a spinoff just about her.
she's pretty great. And she may or may not be the thumbnail for this video. But she's pretty wonderful. Um, but I like her a lot. But I also got some emotional development for our guy, Kabaragi, our boy.
Yeah, like no joke, I almost cried this episode.
This episode definitely hit me in. Yeah, definitely hits you in the emotions as much as a show about humans fighting gigantic monsters can.
I think this episode did a lot of good things, showing like really the potential of the relationship between Kabaraki and Natsume, as well as some of the other characters, showcasing some of both the strengths and weaknesses in the animation itself,
Yeah,
and showing some more not so subtle hints into the way some of our side characters perceive the world.
um, yeah. I would definitely. I love definitely agree. Like I loved what about in this episode. Jeez, one thing I loved about in this episode was the um, sense of like perspective that we got. So we got one by one, I guess. So Natsume is finally like very quick into the show. Episode 4 here. But I mean, who knows the news that you were just telling me about this show, by the way, could potentially be just 12 episodes. Not 100% on that, but according to, what was it, Mal, you were saying, was saying 12
Yeah,
episodes.
which I've seen that be wrong before, but
Mal was
that
never wrong.
that's the only source that I've seen. Maybe there's another one out there, but like I said, I haven't seen it.
Mal is
That
never
says
wrong.
that it's 12 episodes.
Mal has never been wrong, and no one's opinion on
Oh, of
Mal has
course
ever
they
been
haven't
incorrect.
been.
No one's opinion on Mal has ever been incorrect. Somebody could put Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood as a 1 out of 10. That guy is correct. Just kidding. It hurt. It makes my blood boil to say that sentence. It's such blasphemy. But perspective in this episode. Uh, so episode 4 of what might be 12. So while I did say it might sort of be fast, maybe perhaps it isn't. She is finally recognized by the power. She is finally recognized by these people that go out and fight. Specifically, our
Her
girl,
idol
yeah, her idol Kurenai and her team of tanker warriors. Um,
with the
who,
triplets,
yeah,
Mandy,
yeah,
Mendy, Mundy,
I
or
don't,
Mindy.
yeah, the one that just walks around in like a bra. Like I noticed, like I thought it was a dude at first until
You gotta be careful what you say nowadays.
I guess I that is true. Um,
There
uh,
was a man, there was a woman, and there was somebody that presented as something other than that.
yeah.
And that's what the triplets are.
They're tanker warriors, so they are seemingly humans who are strong enough to face the Gadol. Now, it does seem, perhaps maybe with the exception of Kurenai, I noticed that they are still not as good as the fighter class people. I always forget what they're called. Gears. It seems like they like while their scenes are their action scenes are like are wicked cool and everything like that. It does seem that they tend to be a little more stumbly and not like as crisp. I mean, the gears are also like really overconfident. There's also a thing that I've noticed. Um, but our girl is finally recognized as being strong. She gets this really awesome action sequence of fighting these Gadol. Um, and I, for one, was really, really hyped to see her actually like in combat. It wasn't for super long, but I think it was pretty appropriate. I liked most of that action sequence. I still
I
think
think it was appropriate after seeing like the whole training montage that we see her actually get into the action, kill some things with her new equipment, and some of the action shots look really cool.
yeah,
Like that was what I was referring to when I said that there was strength in the animation that this episode showcased.
yeah.
I think where it faltered was kind of with the Gadal that Kurenai herself killed at the end. The blood kind of looked a little
Not great.
right.
But it's all right. I'll forgive it. Maybe. It is certainly no handshakers. But so she's finally recognized. She finally gets some action in there. Is able to fight the Gadals. So her and I get to fight the Gadals. We see Kabaragi desperately try to hide Pipe in the midst of all this battle, which I thought was kind of funny. Like you have all this chaos going on, and Kabaragi is able to sort of secure Pipe within his shirt, and sort of keep his little secret pet, I guess, secret. Uh, and Kurenai and the rest of her teams recognize Natsume as being strong. They're like, nice to meet you and everything. Like, don't think we've met before. Then she's like, oh, well, I'm not even in the power. So they're kind of surprised. Oh, they're like, oh, you should be doing this. She actually mentions to them too that, oh, I can't really do this. Like, well, they're like, oh, you probably haven't heard of me because I'm a bug. And she's like quoting what Kabaragi had said to her previously, and then you get Kurenai saying like, "Bug, who would say that to you?" Uh,
Yeah,
this is
so
her
it's
boss.
just small little conversation pieces that lead us more into what people know in this world. So Kurenai herself obviously doesn't seem to be aware of what bugs are, which leads more questions about those into who really knows what bugs are. Is it just the system at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Are the users not aware of that? And then you also have to think about Kurenai, since you mentioned Pipe, since she runs up to Kabaragi and like has this like sweet little interaction with him because she missed him and
She is
whatever.
thirsty for some Kabaragi.
How did she not realize he was holding something that was struggling between the two of them?
She was distracted by his manliness. I don't know. I like that Stark.
I'm just saying the weakest part of this show so far is Pipe. At least in the sense that the ways he's hiding just don't make sense.
Yeah, I also like I kind of understand that they're trying to make like I feel like they're trying to make Kabaragi feel a little more humane. But honestly, I feel like Pipe isn't really needed. Like
No, I don't think so either.
almost at all. Like I feel like you could just show him developing human connection with Natsume.
Like the scene, that's a great one where she's about to go into the battle and he hears the truth of what's going on, that this is basically an event just to wipe people out.
Yeah, there's about to be this essentially suicide mission. There. Oh, this was also something that stood out as sort of weird to me, because we. And I guess it's because we're kind of like in the dark. I don't remember how many years have. I don't know. I don't know if they've mentioned like how long humans have been fighting Gadol and stuff like that. And I think he actually mentioned. I think Kabaragi actually
He
says
said
like
hundreds.
yeah. Okay.
Considering it's in the 2400s,
Mm-hmm.
we could assume probably from our current time that they've at least been fighting them that long.
Right. Because it was in the later 2400s that stuff started to go to shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then in this episode, I mean, maybe it was just me, but didn't it kind of seemed like all of a sudden now we like the Gadol were like semi mysterious and we fought them. It seemed like uh to sort of to gather resource and to defend ourselves, and all of a sudden we're taking this incredibly offensive approach to attacking like a nest that
Well, so the Nest mission, yeah.
seems like it's
To
a
those, to those not in the know, and if you pay close attention to the conversation between Kabaragi and Natsume when he's trying to convince her otherwise not to join, her stance in the argument really reflects what most of humanity is thinking, that any chance for them to take out Gadol Alpha, which is what they referred to as the basically the queen of the nest, um
which
any chance for them to kill something within the nest can bring peace to them, and when that's within their grasp, they're gonna aim for that.
how do the
But
humans know about Gadol Alpha, by the way? I'm just curious. Like, are they
well,
just like
the power knows about Gadol Alpha, and remember the gears are users.
I get that the gears, like gear knowledge, I suppose.
So through that, you learn that the tankers that are part of the power, which are the humans, then learn about Gadol Alpha.
Okay.
Then those humans that are part of the power pass that down to civilians, and then the existence of Gadol Alpha gets out.
Okay.
Just simple communication between people, I think, would get that out.
Um. So were there like previous? So I guess this is like. See the people in charge know that this is going to be basically a fucked mission. They say that like only the strongest of the strong will actually be able to survive this. They give like some kind of like only like up to a certain level will be able to survive.
Literally, it's a death mission just to blow up like lore characters,
Yeah.
essentially.
We're gonna thin
Like
the herd here. We're gonna.
what it reminds me of is in back in the day, like 12 years ago, World of Warcraft, you're fighting the Lich King, and actually, scripted by the fight, you die. Like, he's ready to resurrect you into his new army of the dead, and the guy that he froze in an ice block beforehand jumps out of the ice block. You know, his will is strong enough, the light is with him. He breaks the Lich King's sword and revives the heroes. That way they don't die. But that fight was designed to show the power of Tyrion, and later at the end of the fight showcase the Lich King's father. What's essentially being done here in Decadence is kind of the same thing. They're bringing the rankers back. They want the legendary heroes to save the day and kill Gadol Alpha. So only the best of the best are going to survive in the game afterwards, and everybody else is basically fucked. Except the difference here is lives are on the line. And what confused me the most about that is we were told beforehand that when gears die, they just restart the game. Now, is there something we don't know that involves scrapping, as that was mentioned before?
Yeah.
Are lives actually in danger?
Well, my other thing is, do the gears? Maybe not the gears. Does the I question how much the organization like in charge how badly do they really want, like, if the alpha is killed, right? The alpha is defeated. Does that mean we are that much closer to the end of the battle? Is that something that the organization truly wants? I understand that they sit there and say the world must be rid of bugs.
Well, so this is why I don't remember if it was the last episode or the episode before. I had mentioned that I don't think the Godals are who we see them as. I think the Godals are a much smarter species than we're giving them credit for, and that they're involved in this whole scheme.
Okay.
This whole thing about decadence, the people that run it, are probably Godals themselves.
Maybe Natsume's dad became a Godal pilot.
There's
Maybe
the possibility of that
maybe the
too.
Godals are just game, like almost like game productions of rebellious humanity against the system.
Well,
Um,
so I had taken them when I saw Godal Alpha in this episode. I had taken it with the speech that was going on over that it kind of seemed like Godal Alpha was a program himself or herself, whatever the Godals are.
mhm.
Kind of seemed like Godal Alpha was just programmed into the world, not a natural occurring
Yeah.
phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the Godals or whoever created the Godals, the true enemy that we'll see in the future, maybe the Godals are just tools of theirs or replications of themselves. I don't necessarily think that they're piloted, though I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I say that because if you cracked open an Ava or a Gundam, you'd know there's a pilot inside of them. But how long did we go killing Titans without knowing, spoilers for Attack on Titans, that they were humans?
Yeah. Um. Yeah. It's. I really hope that. I hope we do. It'd be so cool if the Godals are more than just I really hope that that's true. That is more than just
I
humans.
don't think they're just monsters. I think there's stuff that's being hidden from us, even from Kabaragi, that even though that the gears know so much, that there's still stuff the gears don't know
Mm-hmm.
because they're involved in this in an ownership level. The company owns them because they came for entertainment. The company could be producing all of this just for financial means.
Yeah. Just one big ass
You
game.
know, they could be exactly.
Yeah, that's why I questioned like one thing that this episode made me think of was motivation for several of these characters, and it kind of
And
showcases that a little
they
bit.
do showcase that. Yeah, it's really heavy with Kurenai and
Yeah.
Natsume, but
Um.
there's a reason I think that this show is focusing on the things it focuses on,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that motive is one of them. I think it just means something later on.
Yeah.
Something's gonna happen. This isn't Natsume versus the world. This isn't her story. This is the story of the world itself.
Definitely. Um. I do like like I had mentioned, the perspectives with that motivation is I like how you get not only Natsume as like the main well, Kabaragi is also sort of like a main character, I guess, but like Natsume, it's more than just a simple wanting to be strong. I think she has a hint of what Kurenai has, where you want to have like sort of like a life like worth something. Like Kurenai describes herself as if she would feel very trapped, just kind of sitting in decadence. Reminded me a lot of I cannot remember his name, but the freaking long-haired dude from Children of the Whales.
I didn't
Um,
see Children of the Whales, so
um, kind of a similar thing where people are sort of trapped in this like, well, not well, they're supposed to be in this like structure for like their whole lives, and it's one character's huge motivation to try and leave because he describes himself as like a caged bird.
like Promise Neverland kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't watch Promise Neverland past episode
The
1 or 2,
Giver.
but yeah,
Like it all comes back to that.
um,
It's
yeah. So we get Kurenai's sort of motivation to keep fighting. It's also with Natsume, she is pushed to be strong, to see the world, to be something, even as far as to really separate herself from her old friends. Like we get this scene with her and her tanker girl friend who really won't like talk to her anymore.
Did
Uh,
you notice? So in that scene, did you notice that there was a quick flash towards Natsume's new hand when Natsume was trying to like catch up with Faye and everything, and as soon as she looked at the hand, Faye was like, "No, we can't keep doing this, Natsume. We can't." And then it started that like flashback sequence of all the negative things people said about Natsume because of her hand.
yeah, I did. Yeah, I did miss it.
So we're getting a more enforced structure of the bigotry against disabled people in this world right now. What is humanity's reason for hating disabled people? Did something happen where they put trust in somebody that had some form of disability and that led to this? I think that might be too big brain thinking of it, but I think it's just, I think it comes down to something as simple as if you can't fight, you're not good enough.
Yeah,
You're just a liability to everybody else.
and I get the sense that like Faye, uh, even like as nice as she is, she just tries to. She just really wishes that her friend would see these sort of like imaginary limits that she doesn't really necessarily. She puts limits on her friend that her friend doesn't see on herself. Like she wishes that Natsume would just live like their normal life or whatever, but Natsume is not about that, and Natsume is not going to sort of settle for that. And I don't know, it's a weird, and it seems like the rest of the like it's almost like it's becoming very clicky because Faye is quickly sort of moved along by the rest of the tanker crew, the purple hair girl who we haven't seen in a little bit. But and then we get the other motivation I wanted to talk about was with Kabaragi himself, because we spent a lot of time with him in this anime, sort of him becoming more and more human, becoming more appreciative of like the stuff that's like of Natsume, of the sort of life that he has, which he had just kind of written off as a shitty life, and was ready to just let his power supply sort of dwindle down and everything. And now there's this incredibly dramatic scene where he's telling her that you shouldn't go on this mission. Like you can't go on this mission. I want you to live. And he literally like pushes her back and then like breaks, like I think he breaks her gear thing.
The canister that holds the oxyone.
The goofy like witch cauldron things that they carry on their backs. I still don't like the way those look, but um, but yeah, he breaks that very very dramatic scene. He's trying to he can't really like, I suppose, like spill everything to her, because A, that would be a fuck ton at once, and B, who knows how much he is being monitored in this world and doesn't
Well,
know.
he almost kind of did.
Right.
He cut it off, but he was gonna say this world is manufactured.
Yeah. And then he killed
And
himself.
even though he like was getting to that point, really, so tell he's completely, and whether that's the fault of her being a bug or her being human, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely something there where even though he was about to say it, it didn't click with her. And that just puts a light on in my head and says something's not right there.
Um.
Because she's not a dumb girl.
No. No. Um. I like Natsume a lot. Um. And going into the next episode, we're seeing that she is, uh, despite what Kabaragi was saying, despite him breaking the gear, she goes back to Kurenai and asks her for some money. I'm assuming to get more stuff. Um, I don't remember if it shows her actually getting more
I'm sure it was just replacement equipment.
replacement gear. Um, she's going into it. The other thing I wanted to mention too is I like the wintry, the snowy aesthetic that we're about to experience. I hope. Um,
Well, winter usually signifies death.
yeah, winter is coming in Decadence.
So next episode we get to see the results of this slaughter mission.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm sure Natsume will make it, but I feel like we're gonna get one of those pretty formulaic episode 6. She finds out a little bit about the world.
I have a.
Maybe not everything,
I
but I think the second half of the show is gonna go a bit in a different route if we're looking at 12 episodes.
Oh yeah, I my little prediction is I think something's gonna get really screwed up on this mission, and I predict that we will spend more time away from Decadence than was anticipated by any of the crew. I think that something is going to happen where they're not able to. Some people are, from the fight, and then maybe other circumstances. I think that I think Natsume is going to be, willingly or unwillingly, away from Decadence for longer than thought. I think that we might see a Madoka type thing. Not necessarily with Natsume, but I'm really scared for my girl Kurenai.
So the question I have to you is, if you think we're going to move away from the Fortress of Decadence, do you think we're going to spend more time on the surface, or do you think that there's a way for the tankers to find their way into the world of gears? Like the physical world of the gears.
I think it'll be more surface.
Okay.
I do think that I didn't really think about the latter possibility. I guess that could happen, but I think at least I would like to explore some more of the surface world. And for all I know, something just could happen that maybe causes this big separation.
I mean, the way Kabaragi worded it, there's a possibility that even though we're under the assumption that we're watching a story based on Earth, when he said that this world is manufactured and we have to realize that these characters are digitizing into Earth, that this might just be a projection of Earth from the past.
Oh my god.
So Natsume being a bug would make a little more sense then.
Like a digital bug.
And that the chip was what kind of identified her as something that's not programmed. So, her being a physical living being in a digitized world. So, maybe the Gadals or the creators of the Gadals created a replica of Earth after it went to shit to preserve what was left of humanity. And now they're playing a game with them.
Oh man.
But that's kind of my interpretation of everything thus far. And if that turns out to be the case, I will. That will be fucking amazing.
Cue Rick and Morty popping up on the screen and say, "You were inside of a simulation. That was inside of a simulation. That was inside of a simulation." And they're going to. Natsume's going to find her own unconscious body hooked up to a machine, which has been simming this entire event.
That said, I put out that One Piece video today, but the next one I'm working on is going to be like a kind of, if you're not watching Decadence, you better watch it kind of thing.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
So, if you made it this far and you're hearing this right now, and you don't want to spoil your friends on Decadence, that video will be up soon, and you can send that one to them.
Awesome. But yeah, I like this episode a lot. The show continues to not disappoint me. I will say that. Hearing that it might just be 12 episodes, I'm kind of not surprised. I hope we don't get a super, super rushed second half. But I am very curious. I'm very curious about episode 5. I think episode 5 could have a lot in it. And I'm really curious. But everybody should really check out Dreade's channel. I'll link to that in the description box. Once again, thank you for coming. And I will. I'm also gonna have a link to my Patreon. If you like what I'm doing here, maybe consider joining that. And also maybe hit that subscribe button down below. That'd also be great. Thank you to everybody that supports me on Patreon already. Lax, Neo, Warp, and J-Chip. You guys are all awesome. Yeah, this is episode 4 of Deca-Dence. Let us know your thoughts about this series so far down below. You like it? Do you find it boring? Whatever. What do you think is going to happen potentially in a future episode? And thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Miasma, and I'll see you next time. See ya.